What does it take to build a recruiting tool, sell it to one of the biggest names in the industry, and then come back and build something even better? Welcome back to the Kickstart Podcast. I'm your host, Preston, and today I'm sitting down with Steve Liu, software engineer turned founder and CEO of Pin.com, an AI-native recruiting sourcing platform that is quietly doing something no one else in the industry has been able to crack. Steve's story starts about a decade ago when he caught the startup bug straight out of college. After experimenting with a handful of ideas, he landed on a problem that no one had really solved yet. Outbound recruiting had no real tooling, so he built it. That product became Interseller, a platform that helped recruiters engage candidates, run outbound sourcing, and plug directly into their ATS. After 5 years of building and growing and supporting agencies and corporate recruiting teams across the industry, Steve sold Interseller to Greenhouse, one of the most recognized names in HR tech, and spent 2 years there as part of the acquisition. But Steve wasn't done. What he saw inside Greenhouse, the flood of applications, the broken search, the way even the best recruiting tools were failing to surface the right candidates, convinced him that the fundamental search infrastructure of recruiting needed to be rebuilt from the ground up. That's Pin. And in this episode, Steve breaks down exactly how they did it, rebuilding the resumes of over 300 million people in a recruiter-friendly format so that AI can finally search the way recruiters actually think. No more sifting through pages of results, no more Boolean guesswork, just the right candidate in the first slot. We also get into one of the hottest debates in the industry right now. Is AI replacing recruiters, or is it the tool that finally makes great recruiters unstoppable? Steve has a clear answer, and it might surprise you. All right, let's get into it. Sit back and enjoy my conversation with Steve. Welcome to the show, Steve. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And for those who don't know who you are, would you mind just sharing a little bit more about yourself?
So I am Steve. I'm the CEO of Pin.com. We're an AI recruitment sourcing platform. So our goal is to help you find the candidate that you want to hire that's best for your role in slot number 1 rather than on page 7 or 8, whether you're utilizing another product or tool. We always want to be able to figure out exactly all the top candidates for your job. So we've basically built and rebuilt like the search algorithm to help you find the candidate that you want and spend a lot less time because they're always in slot number 1, page number 1.
Before we get more into Pin, which I would love to do a deeper dive on, can we just take a zoom out, a couple steps back and kind of talk about how you got here? So I know that you're a software engineer by trade and you also founded another startup before that got acquired. Would you mind just sharing a little more about that?
Totally. So I'm a software engineer turned CEO. I am back in 2016 now, probably a decade ago. I had got the startup straight out of college, worked for a bunch of startups, but primarily I wanted to make my own startup. So the fun part is I didn't really figure out what that idea was. I just kind of like stumbled upon it after 10 different things that I was doing. And it was actually with a recruiter named Miles Randall. And Miles basically was like, hey, this is what like outbound sourcing is. Back in like 2014, 2015, outbound sourcing started becoming a thing, but there weren't any tools like in sales to help you operate cold emails, find an email address, etc. So I embarked on a journey building a product that worked for Miles initially. So we did, and over a weekend, we kind of hackathon projected. We built a product called Interseller, which were basically tools to help you get engaged candidates, basically run the outbound sourcing process, find the profiles, import them, find the email address, send it, email cadence, get it into your ATS like Greenhouse, right? And so did that for about 5 years. We built a pretty cool product. We supported a lot of agencies and internal recruiters, corporate recruiters. Eventually, after 5 years, 2016 to 2021, post-COVID, I was like, I think I'm ready. So we sold the company to Greenhouse. I spent 2 years at Greenhouse kind of like looking at all the existing kind of like issues with companies, what they're facing today with like talent and the surge of applications. And on the opposite end, in my 5 years doing Interseller, we never were able to do the search portion of sourcing. And I always wanted to do that because I always thought it was broken. For example, LinkedIn, right? You keyword all the things, but you still got to look at every single profile on LinkedIn in order to be like, that's the person I want, right? But I had to go through pages and pages and pages of doing this. So I was like, what if we got AI and ML, machine learning, to do this for us. And at the time in 2018, impossible. Like you need so much data, and I didn't have a machine learning background, so I was like, can't do it. But with AI today in 2020, starting 2023, 2024, all of that's unlocked. It's like you don't have to spend tons and tons of time and money to figure it out. You can implement a AI product or AI LLM into your product to help you do those things. So I embarked on this journey called Pin, and our goal was to rebuild search. And how do we rebuild search for candidates? In fact, funny enough, like version 1, we were like, okay, let's just go buy out. Let's just buy all the data and then make it searchable. Right? It's the standard go facto way of like get Elasticsearch, put data into it, and then do keyword search yourself. Problem is you can't beat LinkedIn at its own game. So like, why bother trying? So version 2, we embarked and we were like, okay, how can we make this smarter? What are some like tools, products, and AI things that we could do to make it better? So we embarked on this other journey called RAG, which is like was a big thing back in 2025, but it's got a flaw. And like the major flaw is candidates kind of like have this wide disproportionate like amount of what they put in their resume. So we've got these like curves, right? These talent curves. In the middle, you've got people who describe themselves perfectly. Every keyword known to man, every sentence you could possibly describe. That's kind of the middle of this talent curve. Then you've got like a lot of talent also who basically only tell you who they've worked for, their name, when they worked for that company, and that's basically it. But they're unsearchable because they don't have the keywords that those algorithms are built on top. So we actually embarked on version 3 of our search, and basically what we did was, the fun part was we rewrote every person's resume in the database. And so we took this kind of philosophy of recruiters are looking for very specific things, right? They're asking very specific questions to find candidates. It's normally not much different from one another. Every recruiter's kind of looking for those very specific questions and answers, but candidates aren't answering those questions in their resume. So how do you do that? So we had to rebuild everyone's resume from scratch. So over 300 million people in a form that is searchable to recruiters. And by doing so, we've unlocked like the search capability beyond anyone's wildest dreams and able to find very, very specific details to like, you're a software engineer in the finance industry, but more specifically, you worked on like credit card algorithms or something of that nature. You can get so granular now, and we can precisely point you in that direction, and therefore able to like get you the candidate that you want every single time. So you no longer have to like hash out 50 different searches. You get basically the candidate you want on top.
That's so cool, because I think as a recruiter, what a lot of recruiters think is like they're comforted by the notion of just like accessing a LinkedIn product so they can access LinkedIn's full database. And they're like, if I just use an AI product that, for example, scrapes LinkedIn, might not have the full access. Even if it's a creative way to find them, it might not pull up as many people as I can find myself, albeit manually going through pages. So what would your response be to that?
So here's the thing. If you give AI the same exact tools that we've operated on for the last decade, and expect basically the results to be better than a human, that's a fallacy. It's like you're telling yourself that like, okay, cool, AI can operate it slightly faster than you, but having it like you're playing a game of telephone. Someone like hiring manager tells you who you're hiring for. You're then translating it into Boolean filters. Then you're getting and reading the resumes to see if you're matching the same context, right? Now the problem is you added 2 more stages into this, which is AI is creating the filters for you, and AI is now reading the resumes. You just added more people into the game of telephone. You're just losing so much beyond each and every step that you're not going to get like the results that you want. So the main aspect here is like, how do we rebuild the search algorithm that AI can capitalize on while also retaining that context? That's the major difference. No one else has done this in our industry, not even our competitors. LinkedIn themselves can't do this. Like that was the major unlock, which is like, we had to be like Google. How do we rebuild this search engine? Because this search engine just doesn't work for AI, and it barely works for humans. So like, why rely on something so outdated and expect AI to improve upon that, right? And so our goal was like, rebuild this, then AI can utilize the greatest tools to help itself find those candidates.
I'm really excited to kind of see this in action. But before we get to that, you've already kind of answered my next question. For someone who is, creating another kind of AI powered platform here in recruiting, there is a lot of fear and concerns about more traditional recruiters out there. Where will recruiters continue to have their place, right, in the world of AI? So is it a question of AI versus recruiters now, or is it a question of recruiters without AI versus recruiters with AI?
Yeah, I think the answer is recruiters recruiters with AI. I think the main aspect of all the products that are out there make you fear that AI is coming for you. But I don't know, an AI interviewer trying to replace you out of a job, don't think that's happening.
Maybe we're a little early on that.
Yeah. And like here, look, like there's a lot of products that like kind of like make you fear that. But really all it's doing to me is replacing the resume, not the recruiter. You're utilizing something like Alex.com or MetaView to help you phase out this resume portion because it's already so noisy and you can't get details out of it that you're trying to get the candidate to answer the very specific questions you want. That's, I don't think is going to be replacing a recruiter anytime soon. I think to answer what I feel like is going to happen in 2 years for recruiters is you're going to be so highly focused on being a sports recruiter. You have to treat every candidate with like the highest utmost importance. Like you've got to make them feel like they're the most important candidate in the world in order to basically land them. In the world of AI, right? Like we've playing in this cat and mouse game. Tons of candidates are applying their roles at 10 times more, 100,000, 2,000 job applicants, right, in a singular day is a problem. And recruiters are trying to utilize AI to scan all these resumes. You're playing a cat and mouse game. Like you're playing an unwinning game. But the thing is now we're generating so much noise and that noise is just going to increase dramatically. So how do you cut through that? You do the thing that was originally what recruiters were supposed to be doing 15 years ago. I think we just lost track of it. Make the candidate feel like they're the most important thing to your company. If you don't do that, you're just going to drown in like applications that don't matter or are irrelevant to your role. So I think 2 years time, that's one of like my future predictions is like, we're going back to the basic. Recruiters need to cut through the noise. The way you do that is you make the candidate feel special.
I think like as a recruiter myself and kind of growing and building out our team, there's so many things I'm responsible for, whether you're a corporate or agency, just on the whole in recruitment, there's so many like moving pieces and so many little manual pieces. And it's easy for recruiters to just get completely distracted or buy into that noise, trying out every single tool out there, and really kind of taking them away from the activities that actually matter, like building those relationships, building that trust with talent or stakeholders at companies, and making that whole process of getting offer and acceptance just frictionless and enjoyable, right? So I love the fact that you talked about candid experience because people often just ignore that. And when you're like a founder at a VC-backed startup and you're trying to hire your first founding team, like the worst thing that you can do is have a really bad candid experience. That's literally the first experience they're going to have with you, right?
And it's even worse when like you found the best candidate and you're drowned. Like what I would say is you're wasting time in other aspects rather than focusing on the candidate that's in front of you, right? And so sourcing is one of those things to me, right? Sourcing specifically is like no one loves. Like the best sourcers make it their full-time job and that is it, right? All they do is source resumes and hand it over to the next recruiter, right? No one looks forward to it. Everyone is like, oh man, like I'm gonna spend another like 10 hours on LinkedIn to find like those people. Like if you found somebody that loves sourcing on LinkedIn, you should go hire that recruiter because like they've got the resilience beyond like what I could imagine and fathom, right? And so our goal is to like, what if we made sourcing more enjoyable? Like that's as weird as that sounds, right? I don't think anyone's trying to attempt making sourcing more enjoyable and especially spend just a lot less time. Even if I took 4 hours away out of your week, maybe 10 hours just from sourcing and got you to the role that you, or the candidate that you wanted, I saved you so much time that now you can actually focus on the experience because the experience feels like you could pass it off, right? Versus like sourcing, like you don't get candidates through your pipeline unless you start with sourcing.
Sourcing is the bane of every recruiter's existence.
Yep, it's the bane of my existence too.
It's as a founder too, especially, right? Like a lot of founder-led sourcing and just takes up so much time. It's the biggest time sink.
You want to know something crazy? So we're growing, we're busting out the seams. Like we are practically booked, like 3 salespeople booked for the next 7 days. Like, and it's just getting worse and worse. So we had to hire more salespeople. So funny enough, we started the search on Monday. We interviewed, I think, total 6 candidates, 3 of which were really great. Those 3 candidates, then we made offers to, and the next Monday, all 3 of them signed. We actually hired our own salespeople utilizing PIN in 6 days. And it couldn't have gotten any better because like the 3 people we hired was background in SaaS, background in HR tech in one. One's a full desk recruiter, hasn't sold software, but sold like a tangential like product before. And the third one, also same thing, full desk, is doing B2B development for a recruitment agency. We couldn't have found any better candidates, to be perfectly honest. But Pin found that for us in less than I think my head of sales did that in 30 minutes or less.
That's incredible. I mean, it would have been sad if you found those same results using LinkedIn or something.
Yeah.
It's good to see you guys using your own product, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was phenomenal. So we have new salespeople starting in May and also support too. So as we're growing, we're needing to add headcount, but we exclusively only utilize Pin or referrals. So that's the other aspect that I still find is super valuable.
Yeah, congratulations to the growth. So just to make it clear, for a lot of recruiters who are listening right now who might be using a LinkedIn, so where would a product like Pin fit their workflow? So are you saying the biggest value prop is just time savings, right? So being able to find people easier and faster through Pin and using it as a supplement to LinkedIn? Or in your words and your view, what is the ideal setup?
Rip and replace. Though that being said, I do find that LinkedIn messaging still work fairly well. So I think there's a realm of replace your RPS license and basically give us all of your hardest searches. You'll spend a lot less time. You'll find the top 10 candidates, top 100 candidates, top 200 candidates that you want to hire, and literally paste your job description and we'll find them for you. I'll show you that in a second.
Yeah.
It's magical. All of that just happens in one singular flow, right? It makes it so easy that you don't have to waste time typically that you would do through LinkedIn. So we want to replace all of your sourcing product needs because we feel like we figured out the strategy. My team has been building it for the last 8 years and have been defining what that process is. In fact, Gem and Sourcewell and everyone else basically just copies us at this point and ultimately utilize our search because we have the best sourcing engine possible. Those two combination of pieces will get you to the candidate that you want almost overnight.
Wow. So you believe fervently that we are living in a time right now where recruiters don't necessarily have to be locked into LinkedIn anymore.
Yes, absolutely. No more 2-year contracts. No more ridiculous RPS licenses that are astronomically above, I don't know, 10 grand a license per year. No more of that. I think data is a commodity now, but search is not. And so that's kind of where I see where we're headed is if you landed search really, really well, even if I only had 60% of the population that LinkedIn has, I'm still way better because I can actually find you the person versus LinkedIn, you've got to go through several hoops in the sense of I've got to craft 7 different searches. I've got to figure out a list of companies that I could possibly poach from. I could then maybe we'll look for the keywords here and there. You've got to be so imaginative to utilize LinkedIn. Whereas all you need from us is who you're hiring for, the company's name, if it's yourself, and the job description. And that's it. That's how easy it is to utilize Pin.
That's incredible. So I think it's time, Steve, to kind of show, if you're okay, to peek behind the curtains. We'd love to allow you to kind of share your screen and kind of go through whatever you want to show us. And we'd love to have eyes on this.
Absolutely. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right thing. So Pin, this is inside Pin. This is, our big organization. We run thousands of jobs and things like that. You can see I run software engineer a million times, but we start off with a position. So I'm just going to pull a random job from, unless you have one. Preston, do you have a job?
Why don't we pick a non-technical role? What do you think?
Sure.
Marketing? Let's do that.
Marketing?
VP marketing. Awesome.
All right, let's do it. All right, so as easy as just copying and pasting the link, we import the job description, everything of that nature. I'm hiring for range. This one's really important because we do a lot of research about the company. We look at your current employees, your past employees, what you sell, what industry you're in, everything of that nature, right? So we got all the data, we can make all the inference, we can be really smart handling all of this. So next, I'm just pressing continue and Pin's gonna kind of calibrate itself to hey, do these job titles make any sense? Do these seniorities make any sense? I know this role a little bit, so marketing growth, demand gen is fine. I'm gonna turn off performance marketing, user acquisition. Ultimately, it's trying to expand its talent pool to see if hey, would you accept people like these? I'm gonna continue. We're looking in Virginia, New York also, HubSpot, Marketo, all of these things are great. Here's the bread and butter. So typically when you're on LinkedIn, right, you're looking and reading a resume, it's very long. They've got a lot of history and you're looking for the very specific things and you're asking questions in your head. Now you can tell Pin exactly those questions that like make you decide between yes, I want them and no, I want to pass on them. So you can actually ask those questions and Pin is going to basically say like, yes, they have this experience. Here's the proof, right? And so that way you don't actually have to read through thousands of resumes anymore. You can trust Pin to basically like indicate yes and no on those questions.
See, this is interesting because one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, for example, on the agency side, one of like the hard rules that we follow, Steve, is never just blindly do a search off of the job rec, because there's a lot of like buzzwords and keywords out there and you don't know like which is more important to the hiring manager than others. Is the intent behind that section to help Pin just further target?
Yes, all of those 3 screens was ultimately like taking a look at the company and seeing like beyond what the job description is to basically say like, hey, here's more information. Here's the research you would typically do. We just did it up front for you. And we're asking basically like your approval on it.
Nice. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, go for it.
And then I can see that we're about to head into like a calibration phase, right?
Yeah, so calibration is optional, but it kind of brings up a, hey, like everything you do on Pin trains Pin. All the feedback you give it to it trains Pin to find better candidates. So it's important to note the difference is that like we are not giving you pages and pages and pages of candidates. We are ultimately giving you the top candidates we think are the best, and you telling us like a junior sourcer or a junior recruiter on your team, hey, yeah, less of this because like you can see in their background that they don't have this experience or something of that nature, right? Oh, I really like this because of this reason. The more of that feedback you train to Pin similar to that recruiter, the better it's gonna be, right? And so we built Pin to learn from every single action you do on the platform. Calibration is a great way when you don't really know the details of the job super well, and Pin will kind of like learn your habits and learn basically like what you like in candidates. So great for like, you know, a hiring manager who doesn't know how to recruit, of course, and gets to like understand what they are looking for rather than trying for them to explain to you what they're looking for, because we've all been there. Hiring managers are terrible at telling you what they're looking for, but they're really good at identifying the red flags, right? So that's what we're trying to do in this calibration phase.
So one of the things I'm kind of curious about in this demo is when, as a potential user, when would I have that aha moment where I'm like, wow, these results could be better than your competitors?
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
So basically, like my idea is that like that first search straight from the job description should be exactly what you're looking for. And so Tom here as an example, he's VP of marketing at High Labs, right? We've asked the 2 questions here on the top. Have they held a senior marketing leadership role? And it will say like, yep, they do. They've done it at OnCorps, right? And like, do they have specific accomplishments showing their use? Yep, they've done it at Amazon, right? So we're showing you the proof. We're telling you the proof. And of course, like if you want to dive more and deeper into this profile, you can always click it. You'll get kind of like the overview of this candidate, everything you need to know about them. You can even click into the company to see like, what do they do? What do they sell? Like, when did they join? What headcount are they at, right? You can see more information and dive deeper into the profile in a much quicker, like much more like dedicated way that like recruiters actually utilize.
Wow, that's super cool.
And here's the next great part about Pin. I press outreach. And the best part about this is we'll find their email address. We'll even find their phone number. We'll start sending them an email sequence. We'll sync it over to your ATS with one click of a button. That's it. All those things I just described are all done by just pressing outreach. Now, I'm just going to give like a super kind of like rough example here. Ryan. I don't like Ryan. I'm like, all right, well, I think they are, you know, the company size that they're at is too big, right? So we can kind of tell and give Pin that feedback to say mismatched company size. And what's very important here is, again, like there's no like, let me go to the second, let me go to the third, let me go to the 4th page. It's all about, hey, cool, this candidate's great. This candidate is good. Like Pin's going to learn from all of that and then kind of show us a message in the future by saying like, hey, I learned a little bit more. Do you want to see better results? Because it's kind of improving consistently over time. And so, you know, we found some candidates here, right? Tom's, I won't show his email address. We'll start that email sequence. We've crafted one automatically that starts with like, you know, hey, like a very standard typical template. But then one craziest cooler part is we create this customized sentence here, this AI personalized sentence, which takes both the candidate's profile, the job description, the company, who we are, and basically combines it to create a very hyper personalized sentence for each and every candidate. Not just the same template, but every single candidate now gets a hyper personalized email.
That's awesome. Where are you guys getting kind of like your data from?
Yeah, so there's a lot of well-known data providers. So like People Data Labs is one of them, Core Signal is another. They sell licenses to that, whatever data data that they've collected, and what we're agnostic to it. So we purchase as much data as possible from everyone. So we've got probably more than 5 data partners currently right now. That data, then we on our end basically do that whole process that I described to you, which is like creating that shadow resume, creating kind of like how people or recruiters would search for candidates, right? We're doing all of that with all the data that we ingest, and we create like an identity behind the scenes for us. So as we continue to grow, our objective for the next whenever our next like round or fundraising happens, we are trying to purchase even more data, as much data as possible, to help the AI learn more about candidates and what they could possibly be. So think of it like beyond just resume information. We want to kind of get all the state health licensing, right? Wow. We want to get like all the different legal papers you may have been a part of and see what practice of a law you may be in. So we're getting into the realms of like even deeper research that like typically a really good sourcer would do, but be able to do that instantaneously. But that requires buying more and more data. I know recruiters love data, and so I will say like we're the only company out there that's trying to ingest as much as possible.
That's amazing. So again, within the search function, do you also have like baked in, I'm sure you have like baked in rules. So like what if I'm like, oh, perhaps like maybe a handful of these candidate profiles are maybe too job hoppy. Can I like tell Pin to be like, hey, this is my criteria, can you just rerun the search again?
Yeah, exactly. So you can just ask Pin to be like, I do not like candidates who have an average tenure below 2 years. You can do like exactly that. Pin's gonna update its search results and like kind of like add this in for you, right? So it's liking people above 2 years. Like we have a whole swath of different filters, and some cool things are, which I haven't shown actually, which is kind of cool, is employee overlap. So you can actually take like ranges employees and search for candidates that have overlap with your own employees. So that's another cool feature we have. We can search your ATS too. We can search your LinkedIn connections, all of that nature. We can do it all. So we've got even filters beyond just like your typical like job title, seniority, departments, company, investors, funding round, startup. We've got it all. But I think like the best filters we have are these top ones. And last but not least, we have like job hunting indicators, likely to respond, all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
We do it all. So that's even security clearance, right? So we've got all of the filters that everyone's used to and wants to search by, and even more beyond that.
And then I also noticed that you have like data, like pipeline reporting on the left as well.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go into like my entire team's positions because there's better data there. So we have a unified inbox. So the great part is we also have LinkedIn messaging and connection requests built in and automated. You can run an omni-channel messaging sequence. So you can blend in email, which is automated. Our LinkedIn in-mail is automated. Our connection requests are automated. You can even add SMS steps and call steps and bake it into the process. I find that if you utilize 2 channels, aka LinkedIn and email, you will get almost like 25 to 30% more responses than you typically would with just a single channel. So highly recommend it. Like our outreach is phenomenal. We'll even give you kind of like what I'd call as the unified inbox. This unified inbox is cool because you can communicate as the hiring manager. You can like have your hiring manager connect that email account to you, and you can manage it all for them as a recruiter. So we built the inbox for recruiters to be able to like basically work through these candidates for them. And pipeline is kind of like this cool feature. We actually just released this a week or 2 ago, but this is a fully automated pipeline, meaning that you get these summary pieces automatically as you're communicating with the candidate. It will say like open to discussing the new role, contact them via WhatsApp to schedule their initial. It's whatever the communication or wherever that like candidate is in the process, and we'll move them all into these different phases for you automatically. So that way you don't have to manage this. The goal of the pipeline was to see everything at a glance of your entire hiring pipeline.
Wow, this is awesome. So you're able to find people, reach out to them. You got a pipeline that organizes everything. You got reports here.
Yeah, so reports is everything you could dream of, right? Like, where am I getting my most responses from, right? Like, how many am I scheduling? How many are interested, right? I can get a whole just general pipeline of everything that's going on. I've got pipeline activity. I've got team activity. crazy. Every report that recruiters always ask us is here. And of course, we don't have a report. You can always just ask us to build it. Just tell us to build it, right? And we'll do. And we'll
sure.
build it. But yeah, reports, pipeline, inbox, outreach, like candidate management. You got like a kind of a bit of a CRM here too. We obviously have like way too many candidates here right now because this is our test account. And also we've hired through it, which is kind of funny. Yeah, and you can collaborate with teammates too.
And you're probably going to get to this, but one thing I would love to touch on is going over kind of like your AI agents capabilities.
Yeah, so the AI agent automations is basically like probably, we played it off really low, but it's actually really, really powerful. Think of it as this, right? Like you are sourcing, Pin understands you. It gets to a phase where it'll start showing this and say like, it's time for the Pin to just do it for you. So it's gonna source all of the candidates for you automatically because it knows how you source now. So you can activate this now on a per position level and we'll just proactively add additional candidates that like it thinks you would accept on a daily basis. So you can say like, I want to feed 30 candidates into my pipeline every day. I want 50, I want 100. Pin just does this for you automatically. It's as easy as a click of a button. You don't actually have to go through anything else super crazy. It's just literally like turn this on.
Is there a daily cap of how many profiles an agent can find you?
No cap. I find that like if you're trying to do 100 or more, you should probably, you're gonna get a lot of responses. So do 100 or less. But there is no cap to our sourcing today.
Gotcha. So can the agent also outreach automatically too?
Agent also outreaches.
Okay.
Agent also responds back to candidates. So if they're interested, so instead of like passing a Calendly link and they say like, yeah, I'm interested, I have 5 p.m. tomorrow available, boom, Pin agent will just send them a calendar invite, respond back to them, add it to your calendar, everything of that nature.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. And I can see how it's so powerful. It's seamless. You can do everything here instead of like just tab toggling among different tools.
Yeah, exactly, right? You don't have to like jump between 1,000 different things. Oh my God, we have like a million jobs.
Are there types of roles that Pin might not be as good on?
Two main ones. I'm gonna say first one is hyper localized searches. So meaning like you're looking for a very specific, like, I don't know, let's say a construction worker in a very specific zip code. We don't do that. Like there's better products and tools for this. We call it programmatic advertising. That's much easier to find those candidates in. And the second one we don't do well in is like fresh grad roles. So like fresh out of school or internships or any of that kind of stuff. We don't do well in that. What we do very well in is anything that's related to like highly skilled labor or knowledge work or anything that's extremely specialized. So we do super well in those roles. I'm gonna say like we do everything from marketing to tech to finance to accounting to healthcare. Like we've done it all. We've done practically every search in the space you could possibly imagine, and we support it very well. Whatever you typically would do on LinkedIn, you could do on Pin.
But when it comes to the geographical search, so if someone wanted to find like a software engineer in New York City, are you saying like Pin can't do that? Or no, is it just for like the super random?
No, it's more like I need someone in a very specific zip code that can, hammer a nail into wood, right? Like we don't do that super well. We do well on like, I'm looking for a software engineer in New York or the New York metro area or the SF area or other area, like things like that. But what we don't do is going to be like Indeed level work, which is kind of like you're trying to advertise in a very specific town to drum up as many candidates as possible to like fill butts and seats, if that makes sense.
Cool. Before I let you go though, I mean, this has been honestly great and I really appreciate you giving us kind of a peek behind the curtain. Is there any like teasers to future kind of developments that you can perhaps give me and the audience something to get excited about?
Yeah, totally. So one of the big things we've been working on recently is a way to interact with Pin. So soon enough, we have 2 features coming out in that realm. MCP. So now you can get Claude or Codex to do literally all of your sourcing needs and it can operate Pin for you. You just kind of interact with your LLM and it will do everything for you. That's MCP. It's really cool. You can interact, like connect Pin with many other different things that the LLM supports or whatever like Claude supports. Number 2 is we found that like a lot of recruiters want to be able to like, again, interact with Pin more. So we're building building kind of like a chat interface inside of Pin, so that way you can interact with it, being like, hey, yeah, less of this, more of this. It's a better way to ultimately train Pin to become better at your searches. So those are like the two major things that we are embarking on at the moment.
What's the logic and rationale behind the MCP? Wouldn't you guys would rather have users on Pin itself instead of using Claude or LLM?
Yeah, no, my goal is I want you to find the right candidate, and I want you to do it quickly, and I want you to like get that interview in that you really, really want, right? And so if it's like that time-strapped recruiter who like needs that AI assistant to run Pin for you, so be it, right? Like that's where I think like AI tools and like having MCP get into Pin is really valuable, because it actually will now operate the product versus like that time-strained recruiter who doesn't have the time to even log into anything. At least I'm getting that motion in for them, and at least I'm getting candidates into their pipeline.
Could you also share with the audience, like, how does the pricing work with you guys?
Yeah, totally. We're super transparent. It's always on our website too. We are $179 per month starting, and it just basically kind of decreases from there. So just to kind of like put it in picture, if you are a solo recruiter, we've got one of the best deals in the industry. $100 per month billed yearly, so $1,200 per year. Literally no one beats us in that price. You get access to everything that I just described to you and everything else that comes, right? Perfect for like if you're a solo business, solo recruiter, you're a one-man band. And then we've got kind of professional and business edition that start off at $179 and $300. But $179 is usually that sweet spot. Most teams start there unless they need a higher degree of lookups or a higher degree of dedicated support from us.
And what exactly is a contact lookup?
Yeah, so a contact lookup is an email that we find for you for a candidate. So like if we deliver you an email, that's 1 credit. So anytime we find you an email address, we consume that credit. It resets. You can always purchase more. Unfortunately, like we pay data providers this fee also. So we're just ultimately trying to make that, we just kind of like pass the cost along, but also include it in like, I would say a healthy amount. I'm going to say about 95% of recruiters never go beyond this, mainly because like you're doing more with less because you found the right candidates. You need to source. Typically, I find like if you were sourcing 250 candidates for your role, you need roughly about 25 now with Pin. So it's just the reduction is massive, right? And so we give you a healthy amount, you'll never blow past it.
Yeah, I love it. And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so easiest way is come to www.pin.com. Pretty straightforward. 3 letters on one side of the dot, 3 letters on the other side of the dot. Book a demo with us. Like we've got a pretty straightforward process, or email us at hi@pin.com.
Beautiful. And one more question. What is one thing you're most excited about for the future?
You know, personally, I think we are in the precipice of being able to replace what typical giants have never, like no one has been able to replace the typical giants. LinkedIn and Indeed are the biggest giants in this game, but I think we now have the opportunity to beat them at their own game. And the reason is AI unlocks a lot of phenomenal like tools to time, to everything you could possibly, intelligence, everything you can possibly imagine. And I think we're at the precipice of being able to do just that. I do think recruiting also is going to change in a year or two's time, and I think it's gonna be for the better. I think today in this world of like battling kind of fake applicants and all that kind of stuff will phase out, and we'll eventually like think of it as the phoenix rising from the ashes. I do think we're gonna have that moment in 1 or 2 years time, and recruitment's gonna actually be really, really enjoyable to do rather than like people dread it, right? Like I don't think people enjoy recruiting, hence why hence why tools exist, right? And I do think like Pin is at that tip of the spear.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I really want to thank you so much for your time. And I agree with a lot of your sentiments. I think for someone who's been in recruiting for over a decade, like this is one of the most exciting times to be in recruiting. It's like you said, it's a rocky road now for the giants that had an easy time up until now. And it's really, really cool to see just the advancements of rec tech, specifically thanks to AI automation, just getting better and better and better every year. And it's also great to talk to a founder like you who also just secretly wants to make source fun, you know? And
just sourcing fun again, right? Like
I think you should just rebrand Pin to make sourcing fun.
Yeah, just the first 4 lines. Yeah, one day, I think currently today, like our website is very keyword heavy and focused to get the AI to like recognize us. And then eventually once we like get critical mass, I will change it to Pin makes sourcing fun again.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a great headline, to be honest.
Exactly. Take my money. Where do I sign up? But honestly, kudos to you and your team. And it's, it's really always fascinating for me to meet founders who kind of fall into recruiting. Recruiting is pervasive, right? Every team, every startup does recruiting. But for someone to be like, I want to create a startup specifically about recruiting, it takes sometimes maybe a connection with a recruiter that kind of sparked Interseller, or someone who's really passionate about the problem, or someone's like, you know what, we can do it better, or all of the above like yourself. And so really great for you guys to come up with something that's very intuitive. It's super simple and extremely powerful, not to mention like, I love the way that you guys are priced too. So I think it's a huge relief for me to really hear the words like long are the days now, or like you have to be chained to an RPS and pay $700, $800, $900 a month because you have to. And so I think as recruiters, we have more options than ever. It's all about finding the right options and which one's better for you.
Stop paying the LinkedIn taxes.
Stop paying the LinkedIn tax. And take a hard look at PIN. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Steve. He's been more than accommodating, and him and his team has been just absolutely fantastic. And Steve, just continue to root for you in the sidelines. I can't wait to start using your product in my own agency as well.
Sweet. Awesome. We'll be glad to have you, Preston.
Perfect. Thank you, Steve.
Cool.